Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Insightly webinar. My name is Tony. Before I hand you across to Anthony, just want to give you some brief housekeeping rules. You're all on mute. We have hundreds of people on the webinar this morning, so we're going to keep everyone on mute, but you can ask questions using the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So without any further delay, I'd like to hand you over to Anthony Smith.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Q4 2017 release webinar for Insightly. I'm Anthony Smith. I'm the CEO of Insightly here, and I'll be taking you through all the main features and the improvements in this latest release of Insightly. And at the end, I'll have a little bit of a preview of what's coming in the next release of Insightly. So with this particular release, we've really built the product around three core tenets. So we listened to a lot of customer feedback about what customers would like to see in future versions of Insightly. And we took all of that customer feedback and we rolled it into what is the biggest release of Insightly that we've produced to date. So we've completely rebuilt the Insightly product platform from the ground up to be more flexible, more customizable, and more extensible than the current version. And that investment and framework is going to pay dividends over time as we can now release new features at a much faster cadence than we have in prior releases. So we really built this version of Insightly to be more productive for users so that they complete their work and the different steps and tasks that they have to take within the interface with far less clicks than they do in the current version of Insightly. It's also a lot more customizable across the board. Almost every screen is more customizable than the prior version. So individual users or teams can configure Insightly to really suit them, to show the custom fields on the screen where they want to be able to have the right filters, to be able to see what they need to see to be able to get their work done. And it's also far more extensible than the prior version of Insightly. So we really have quite a few options now to integrate with different third-party tools, as well as to be able to extend Insightly with custom code that customers can write or that our customer success team can write for you to integrate with some of the third-party tools that we don't support out of the box. So we've got some great solutions there. In terms of the user experience, one of the things that we really polished was the sign-in experience. So we've expanded our infrastructure to support different data centers across the world. One of the things that we wanted to make sure is that we can support customers, whether they're hosted in the United States or in other geographies, a little bit closer to where they reside. We upgraded our security system to use Transport Layer Security 1.2 for strong encryption ciphers throughout the experience. And we've completed a domain unification project to transition to the insightly.com domain across all of our sites. We've also added support for security assertion markup language, or SAML, single sign-on standard, that's used by a lot of very large enterprises. And we support a lot of the main vendors that have SAML integrations, including Okta, OneLogin, Ping Identity, Auth0, and Microsoft Azure Active Directory. And we're very proud to also announce that we've achieved AICPA SOC 2 compliance, Type 1 and Type 2, which is an audited certification and accreditation for managing customer data across the 5 trust principles of security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. And our new sign-in experience now supports single sign-on from both Google's G Suite platform and Microsoft's Office 365 Outlook platform. And we support two-factor authentication from both of these vendors. So a pretty significant security upgrade and a lot more options there for sign-in and for managing users and provisioning there for the platform as well. In the general user experience, we've completed a redesign of the user interface. And as I said, we've really built it around speed, extensibility, and productivity. We've maintained visual coherence with the previous user interface of Insightly, with all the anchoring UI elements that remain in familiar positions for customers that transition over. So the new user interface is a lot less cluttered than it used to be, and cleaner, and has a few less visual adornments so that it's easier to understand for new users. We now use font-based icons throughout the user experience that scale better for customers on high-resolution Retina displays and screens. And the new user interface supports full browser window scrolling, so it has better accessibility and peripheral device scroll support with easier navigation from mouse wheels and touchpads. And I'll point out that we've relocated the event calendar into the main left-hand vertical navigation bar to bring it in line with other navigation elements and standard UX conventions as well. We've done a lot of work on search in the past 6 months, and we now have a completely new search user experience. We actually utilize a third-party database cluster that's specifically dedicated for search. So this really results in dramatically faster search across the different objects, and we produce results as you type in your search query. And we now search across all fields within each of the objects, like contacts, organizations, opportunities, and projects, including any of the custom fields that you have. So the top navigation bar includes a new faceted search feature so that you can easily search by just one type of object. If you just wanted to search contacts in the top navigation search bar, you can certainly do that. And we utilize features like hit highlighting, tokenization, and stemming to produce the most accurate search results that we can within a very quick period of time. So this dedicated search experience also allows you to drill down to see individual object search results if you hit enter. So that's what you can see on the screen in that screenshot there. In the list view section, we've completely rethought and rebuilt out our list views from the ground up in this new version of Insightly as well. So we now have 3 different visualization treatments for the list. We've got a grid view where you can, it's a fully rich and customizable grid view where customers can choose which columns they want to display in their grid, including any custom fields. They can additionally change the ordering of each of the fields in the columns, and the grid can be set up so that customers can change their sorting on the fly as well by clicking on the column headers. We support grouping of records by any of the given fields, and that can now be achieved by dragging and dropping one of the field headers onto the grouping bar at the top, similar to the way that we have it in reporting right now. And we've also incorporated bar charts and pipeline visualizations into the grid too. So for fields like the percentage complete on a task or the pipeline stage, we now show some mini charts within the grid so that you can easily visually see what stage you're in or how complete the task is. The second visualization that we offer for the list views is what we call the compact task list. This was ported over from the prior version of Insightly for customers who prefer that familiar, dense layout of tasks and the link information. And the third version of the list view that we have is a brand new Kanban view of records in Insightly for leads, for opportunities, and for projects that have a pipeline. So the Kanban system was originally developed by Toyota for lean manufacturing in Japan, and the Kanban card view is an effective way to visualize records within different stages in a linear process. Our Kanban view is based on the card type layout with each card representing one record. We support full drag and drop of cards for moving individual records between the different stages of a pipeline or for different lead statuses. And for opportunities, we have the total monetary value of all records in each stage displayed prominently at the top of the pipeline stage. The field shown on each card in the Kanban view can also be configured too, and Insightly will show the first 4 fields from the field picker in each card. For opportunities, users can choose which pipeline to render for the Kanban view, and all custom views are optionally supported and shareable with your coworkers as they were in the prior version of Insightly as well. Some of the other things that we've included within the new list view system is we now have a full range of fields available to construct filters across all the major list views, and a full set of filter operators at your disposal too. So list views now support up to 8 different filter criteria. And for filter criteria with a fixed set of options, like a drop-down, we support multiple selection of option values within one filter criteria as well. So filters fully support advanced Boolean logic. So you can group your different filter criteria with ands or with ors and really build out some advanced filters there so you can get exactly the list of records that you want to see to be able to work through them. Being able to perform bulk actions like modifying field values, replacing values, or adding tags and links is supported across all of our major object types now. This was a big request from customers: contacts, organizations, opportunities, projects, leads, and tasks. We've added a new user interface convention for making the actions menu for an individual record accessible right from the list view by clicking on the 3 dots menu at the end of each row. And the sidebar that contains the tags and the export links and the recycle bin icon is now retractable with a toggle button, so that you can now maximize the usable space that you have on your screen for displaying additional information within the list view itself. And finally, the grid header is now fixed at the top of the screen. So even when you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the screen, you can now see the vertical columns, and they are visually delineated, and the header remains visible. So that's a small win there as well. We also rethought the add and the edit forms for the different objects that we have inside Insightly now as well. And they're now what we call modals, which sit on top of the existing user interface. So they've been redesigned, and you do not need to jump to a new screen to add or to edit information. So you don't lose context on where you were and the record that you were previously working on. The new add and edit forms just pop up on top of the prior interface. Each section of the form is now contractible or expandable by clicking on the header as well. So you can reduce visual clutter by contracting the different sections of any form that you really use. If you've got a lot of custom fields set up in your contacts or your leads, and those are only applicable to some members of your organization, other members can collapse those so that they don't visually clutter up the page if they don't necessarily need to see those. All the add forms can now have an additional save and new button, so you can add multiple records one after the other fairly quickly and with less clicks. We've also included new indicator icons for each of the different custom field types so that you can easily visually distinguish between different custom field types. And finally, we've also increased the gutter width on all the add and edit forms and display pages of Insightly, so you can dedicate more room to the different field names as well. And we display the full field name on mouse over, which was a feature that was requested by some customers too. The details experience is something that's dramatically different in this version of Insightly to prior versions. So it now pops out from the right-hand side of the screen, and we call that it opens up in a blade, and it dramatically reduces the context switching that occurs when you navigate between list view and individual details pages, because we now display both on the screen at the same time. In our user testing, we've shown that this new visual navigation is much faster than the prior switching between a list view and a details view as individual screens. And application productivity is measurably improved in the user test subjects that we had. We also include a colored row indicator, so users know which list record is currently shown in the blade. and the blade is fully resizable and responsive. So it adapts to different screen sizes, and you can drag the width across so that you can get it set up for your particular system and your screen. We've also included a highlights bar at the top of the page that displays the 4 or 5 most important fields on the record, consolidating the tabs down from 6 or 7 tabs in the prior version of Insightly to just 3, and reducing the number of mouse clicks for navigation between those different tabs was also very important to us. It also brings uniformity between our web version that you're looking at here and the mobile apps that we have for Android and iOS that have a 3-tab system as well. Within those tabs, within the related tab and the activity tab, we now employ the same grid system that we use on the list views with the individual headers that you can click on, and the linked items within a details record. We now have more information than you can see on each of those linked records as well. If you have a pipeline associated with your opportunity or a project, we now display that pretty prominently at the top of the page rather than towards the bottom that you need to scroll to see. So, and you can collapse the different grid sections on the details record the same as you can on the add or the edit forms here as well. And our new activities tab consolidates the emails, the tasks, the telephone calls, and the calendar events that you have associated with a particular record, and sorts them chronologically into upcoming activities and activities that were performed in the past. We also employ the new 3 dots menu here as well, so you can take advantage of the details actions menu from individual records right within the list view there. That saves you a few clicks and stops you jumping between records as well. Additionally, you can add new activities to a record using the new modal overlay. So you don't have to navigate away from a record to add new items like a linked task or an event. We'll just overlay those in modals on top of the details record in the blade. And we fully support the standalone details view as well, similar to the prior release. So if you just wanted to look at an individual record on screen at the same time, you can open it up in a new tab and it will show you just that individual details record as well. One of the exciting new features that we're bringing to this version of Insightly, our team has been working on some advanced artificial intelligence features that we're exposing in what we call insight cards. So insight cards are little cards that pop out from the right-hand side of a screen on a details record and give you a little bit of further information on that record. We use it to surface some things that are either interesting or things that we've detected in the background. One of the things that we've included is if we detect that there's a duplicate record for another record inside Insightly, we will surface that information in an insight card that informs you that there is other duplicate records that have very similar information, and then allows you to consolidate them together. This is great for if you have multiple leads that have maybe been added to the system that have very similar information. Rather than having different people within your organization call that same person, we will surface an insight card that tells you that there are duplicates there so that you can consolidate those and you don't have multiple people ringing the same person. Additionally, for leads, contacts, and organizations that have addresses, we'll show you the local weather, wind, and meteorological information, as well as the local time for that particular contact or lead or organization, even adjusted for daylight savings time. So if you wanted to give them a call or shoot them an email, you might want to do that during business hours, and you might want to have an opening introduction with a little bit of a chat about the weather in their hometown. So we've got a lot more insight cards that are in development now that will be launching over the next few releases of Insightly as well. So that's just the first few that we've got on the table. Insightly now includes real-time browser notification pop-up, so you know immediately when something important has happened in Insightly, like a record that you're following has been changed or a new task notification. That is a pretty big engineering effort there, And what we're trying to do over the next couple of releases of Insightly is optionally give users the ability to have those notifications pop up instead of sending out so many emails with notifications to individual users. You can either choose to have emails, have them as notification pop-ups in the browser, or optionally have them as notifications in either the Insightly Android or iOS mobile apps. So that's something that we're bringing in this version of Insightly. One optional feature for users to opt into, and you can contact the Insightly sales team if you'd like to be able to take advantage of this, is we have a completely built-in telephony system now inside Insightly. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to make and receive telephone calls right from within the web browser itself. Insightly optionally supports recording of these telephone calls in jurisdictions where that's available. And we have automatic artificial intelligence transcriptions of all those calls into text with a high degree of accuracy for analysis. So when you're looking at an individual telephone call record within Insightly, we have a visual depiction of the phone call with scrub controls, individual speaker detection, so you can tell whether your employee was talking or was listening more, as well as important keyword highlighting and seeking for each phone call. And we've got some pretty advanced phone call reporting as well that supports advanced analytics on call agent productivity, number of calls per day, average time per call, things of that nature. We've got support for individual custom call wait greetings, on hold messages that you can record, and voicemail greetings that are individual to each agent if you choose. And we also include different incoming phone call distribution algorithms. So you can have your calls ring in a shotgun fashion with the first user to pick up gets the phone call, or you can have a round robin agent assignment as well if you wanted to distribute those incoming phone calls amongst a set of individuals within your organization. So a lot of features in this telephony system built in. It's really designed for sales teams that wish to be more productive in receiving and making calls. They don't have to log those calls inside Insightly. They automatically get logged, analyzed, and those activities can be reported on and aggregated up to sales managers. We also include some pretty significant platform extensibility features in this version of Insightly. One of our favorite new options here is a new extensibility model for enterprise and on-premise system integrations called Lambda functions. So we have built-in support for authoring and executing of these Lambda functions that allow customers or our customer success team to author and build pretty advanced integrations with third-party systems or to execute custom business logic right from within Insightly in a sandboxed and performant environment. So these little custom functions can be fired upon user-defined triggers within Insightly, within workflow automation rules and actions, or they can be scheduled for timed execution either hourly or daily. So these Lambda functions allow for asynchronous, auto-provisioned, highly scalable functions to execute, and they run in a serverless, secure, container-hosted environment. If you have engineers within your organization that are proficient in writing code in either Java, C#, Python, or Node.js JavaScript, they should be able to very easily author these Lambda functions to talk to third-party systems, and you can insert those into Insightly very easily. Or it also opens up a lot of options if you want to use the professional services available inside the Insightly team to maybe write some of those for you. And we can write some of those little Lambda functions that talk to third-party systems that you have. If they're esoteric or custom design systems that you build that have APIs, we can write some little Lambda functions to access those, synchronize data within Insightly, or to push data to some of those third-party systems when something happens inside Insightly as well. We also support webhooks now. So webhooks are a particular type of technology that's becoming a standard across the industry for being able to call out to third-party systems to be able to notify them when data has been changed or added to Insightly. So a lot of tools like Zapier can take advantage of webhooks to be able to kick off processes, or third-party tools can also be able to accept webhooks and then fire off different processes there as well. So two great extensibility options for being able to be able to use Insightly to hook up to third-party systems and to be able to really have some pretty advanced integrations available as well. So we've added well over 150 new features and improvements to this version of Insightly in this Q4 2017 release. It's easily our biggest version yet. We've also added a lot of improvements to the underlying engine that powers Insightly, and we're going to be building on the momentum of this release with some great new features in upcoming releases too. So I wanted to take you on a bit of a tour of the user interface. So let me switch out of the slides here and see if I can load up this particular version. Great. Okay, so this is the latest release of Insightly. I'm in a demo instance here. It drops you into the homepage here. We've got the familiar left-hand navigation menu across the left-hand side here. We've added the calendar to the left-hand navigation menu. Across the top, we've got a new search experience here. So when you click into it, you can see any recent items that you've got, and across the top right here, you can also see the ability to add a new item right from the top here. We've got the notifications panel, and then we've got the user menu here as well. So in this version of Insightly, the home screen activity is pretty similar to the prior release. If we went and we looked at the opportunities list, you have the ability to see this new grid system that I spoke about here. We've got the different columns across the top here that you can click to order the individual fields inside Insightly. We've got this visual depiction of the pipeline here. You have the 3 dots menu that allows you to access the actions menu for an individual item. And you can completely customize the columns that we have set up here for this particular view. You can also choose to share this view with other members of your organization, clone a view if you wish to make customizations based upon this one. And you can choose to have a grouping bar at the top here. So if we wanted to group these records by the owner, we can simply drag on the owner field into the groupings bar here, and then you see those records grouped. If you highlight some individual records, we have the bulk actions available across the top here as well. So some pretty big changes to the list views inside Insightly. One of the things that I also wanted to show you is the ability to switch between the grid view and a Kanban view system that we have here. So switching allows you to see we've got these different swim lanes here in the Kanban view, and we have individual cards for records here. For each of these cards, if there are no upcoming activities scheduled for an opportunity, we'll show you a little warning sign here. And then you can drag and drop the individual records between the different pipeline stages. And when you release and drop those records, it'll move that individual opportunity to the new pipeline stage and kick off any activities you have associated with that movement there as well. So this is a great visualization option for if you have a few opportunities that you want to see in a more visual way than in the grid view as well. Within the filtering of the list views, that pops out here, and you can add up to 8 different filters for these list views. They're very powerful, and we include like a full set of different fields that you can sort by and you can filter by, and a full set of filter operators there as well. You can add advanced Boolean logic to the list view filters if you have 3 or more list view criteria. And we also have this pop-out menu here on the right-hand side that represents the sidebar. So if you wish to have a little bit more screen space, you can hide that away and really get a little bit more of a maximized viewing area for the data that you have in your list. The new records, and when editing a record, open in this modal pop-up, and this allows you to really add new records very easily without leaving the page that you're on. We also support the collapsing of these individual sections within the record, and we've got some visual icons to indicate for custom fields what type of a custom field that it is right now as well. So the Save and New button allows you to add multiple records one after the other. So we've really got quite a few different small features here that really kind of speed up your day. Some of the other things that I wanted to touch on is when you're looking at an individual record, we will load it in this blade menu that we have here that is expandable, so that you can see if you're switching between records. We really show the list view and the details view on the screen at the same time. So that's significantly faster navigation than it was previously, and allows you to make sure that you keep your spot within a list. If you're working through a few records, you can easily work through those records one after the other using the system in a much more performant way than you could with the prior version of Insightly with less context switching as well. So we've got this beautiful pipeline across the top here where you can see what stage you're on visually really easily. You can see what's coming up. This particular stage here is 5 activities in the next version. We've got the consolidation of the information within Insightly into 3 main tabs now. So the details tab, the links and related items to this particular record, and then any emails, telephone calls, and tasks that are associated with this record in the past activities and in the upcoming activities. You can click on the column headers here to expand out just that section of the related items within Insightly. And we've also got this highlights bar across the top here that has the top 4 or 5 fields that are really applicable to that item, so that you can see those at a glance as well. And then they're also available when you scroll. They're still visible on the screen as well. So that's a pretty whirlwind whirlwind tour of some of the different features that we have inside this new version of Insightly. I did also want to give you a sneak preview of kind of what's coming up in the next version of Insightly after we finish deploying this version of Insightly over the next few weeks as well. So you'll start to get some information on when you can switch to this new version of Insightly if you wish to, for you and your users. It's optional. If you wish to stay on the current version of Insightly, you're certainly more than welcome to do so. And if you're pretty comfortable with that user experience there, or you wish to take a little bit of time to train your users up into the new version of Insightly before you deploy it to all of the members of your organization, we fully support that as well. So you've definitely got some options there. And if you wanted to discuss further about how you might go about rolling that out, you can certainly contact your customer success team there. So if when we're looking at the next version of Insightly, give you a little bit of a preview of what's coming down the track, we have put a lot of work into dashboards and charts, and that's going to be released in a future version of Insightly. That's something that we've had a lot of customers request, and one of our product teams has been really hard at work on that for quite some time. So we've taken that feedback from individual customers and we've had a look around at some of the best business intelligence tools on the market, like Tableau, Domo, Looker, and the like. And we've really set the bar very high on what we wanted to achieve in our own dashboarding tool. So our dashboards will be made up of composable cards that can be added and configured by users and assembled into dashboards that can be shared with co-workers. We're going to support over 40 different chart types, including bar charts, line charts, donut and pie charts, area charts, scatter charts and bubble charts, radar and polar charts, linear and radial gauges, and even tree maps. So really a lot of options there for different visualization types for you to choose the best representation of your data. We also support building out custom calculated fields within your data set. So if you're a power user and you're proficient in a tool like maybe Microsoft Excel formula fields, Mathematica, MATLAB, or you can sling SQL code, then you can easily be able to calculate averages, minimum and maximum values, and combine and concatenate fields together or calculate statistical information on aggregate fields. And we fully support that with over 50 different math and string operators that you can use there as well. You can also resize your cards into 3 different sizes and arrange them onto your dashboards in a kind of a drag and drop fashion so that you can tailor your dashboards to exactly the information that you would like to see on the screen at any one time. It really makes your job a lot easier for you to work through your day. Collaboration is also a really big part of data visualization and analysis, and we wanted our users to be able to easily share their insights with other users. So you can share individual cards or full dashboards with other users very easily, and the dashboard system is built on top of our permissions and security framework, so you can be sure that other users of Insightly only get to see the data that they have the permissions to see. So I wanted to quickly, before we wrap up, show you a very quick introduction to what that might look like when it ships next year. So here is an individual dashboard. This one's set up for a salesperson, so you can see an individual sales funnel, some of the top sources of leads coming in. We've got the ability to see the win rate of dashboards, as well as some of the sales trends. The individual cards on the dashboards can be in 3 different sizes, and we support dragging and dropping the dashboard cards onto different dashboards and really arranging them the way that you want. So you can expect a new release from the Insightly product team next year that has this rich dashboarding capability built in. So that was around about all I had to share with you today in terms of the feature set in the next upcoming release of Insightly, as well as the what's coming next year and some of the capabilities that we would like to ship in future versions of Insightly. We would like to do this around about every quarter or every 4 months, have one of these webinars where we show you what's available and what's coming in the next few weeks of Insightly. So this will hopefully be the first of many of these. With my team here now, I'm probably happy to take a few questions that we have. So I'll hand it over to Tony to be able to orchestrate some of those and see what questions that we can get answered.
Right. Right. Great, Anthony, thank you. Some very it's a broad range of questions coming in. We've been taking and answering questions throughout the broadcast here today. One interesting one from Daniel, who really appreciates the telephony functionality. And in support of that, Ryan was asking about if there will be a Google Voice integration in the future.
Yeah, so we work in pretty close concert with the Google team The Google Voice platform itself does not have what they call an API or an application programmer interface to allow third-party tools to richly integrate with Google Voice. It's something that we've been talking to them about, and when they release an API that allows third-party tools to integrate with Google Voice, then we would look to be able to maybe build something like that inside of Insightly. So that's something that we've certainly expressed to them, that our G Suite customers would like to be able to have that, but up to this point in time, that's not something that we've been able to achieve due to the fact that there's no real integration options available for Google Voice to enable that. So we chose to build telephony into the product ourselves.
So we've got just a bunch of questions coming in here, so I'm going to have to just cherry pick if that's okay. Gary asks, are the mobile apps being updated as well, Anthony?
Yeah, so we've got the mobile apps. They're very much in development now with the next version of Insightly that supports some of these different capabilities. That we hope to release new versions of the mobile apps before the end of the year that includes some of these new capabilities. And I wanted to point out that we also just released a brand new version of our application that sits inside Microsoft Outlook. We now support Microsoft Outlook on the web, on the desktop, and for both Mac and Windows. So that supports the brand new version of Microsoft Outlook and Office 365. That's been out a week, and we've already seen some rave reviews from customers as well. So that enables you to schedule emails, to track emails, and to really provide some rich functionality inside of Outlook that you would otherwise have to switch back to Insightly to be able to do. So that's a great win for Office 365 customers there.
So yeah, questions still coming in fast and furious. So just want to let you all know that we will be following up via email if we don't get to answer your question live today. So one more for you. If we switch over to the new version, can we switch back to the old version?
Yeah, so for our customers that switch to the new version of Insightly, just to try it out, you can certainly switch back to the old version. One thing to keep in mind is that switches for your entire organization. So you can't switch individual users. It's switching all of the users within your organization to the new version, but you certainly have the option to switch back to the old version. So what we recommend is if you wanted to try it out, you might want to do that outside of normal business hours, or maybe on a weekend, just to get a bit of a tour of it before switching back to the old version. Especially as some of your users might like a little bit of a training or a heads up as to some of the new capabilities that I showed today and how to take advantage of them within your organization.
Here's one from Daniel. Any plans to build a G Suite Gmail add-on?
There are actually. We have a basic prototype that's working right now. So Google only released the bits that allow you to build add-ons to Gmail in the last couple of weeks. Where we're putting the finishing touches on our Gmail add-on, and we hope to ship that fairly soon. So you can check out our product news and blog for information on when that might be released, but we're hard at work on putting the finishing touches on that particular piece of the Gmail extensibility platform now.
Here's another one from Matthew. Any plans to work with Constant Contact as well as MailChimp?
We've had a few questions around that, or a few customers that are big fans of Constant Contact. We don't have anything on our near-term roadmap for an integration with Constant Contact at this point in time, but certainly it's something that we continue to monitor. And if we get enough customers that are really looking for that, then we'll put some of our developer resources onto building that out. I would like to point out that we also have a full open API to Insightly. So you have the ability to build integrations using that API without any additional help. And also we have a great integration with Zapier as well. So to get constant contact integration for customers today, they can go through the integration that we have with Zapier in order to get some of that additional information.
Okay, and here we'll take the last question as an interesting one. Any future plans to increase the depth of reporting surrounding the link functionality?
The link functionality is, we think, one of the advantages that's inside Insightly, and certainly it's one of our most powerful features. And we're actually thinking through a lot of additional options and functionality that we want to deploy with regards to the linking feature and with regards to be able to map out the individual nodes or records and what are linked to each other and what types of visualization options we might have available for that. So you can look for some real improvements in being able to explore items that are linked to other items and some of the advanced reporting functionality around linking next year. We're doing some ideation on that right now, and there's some pretty promising opportunities there to really set the bar and improve the reporting and visualization options for linked items there. So thanks for bringing that up. That's something that's very much top of mind for us right now as the engineering teams look to build that out.
Great. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you all for attending today. As Anthony said, this will be the first of many of these opportunities to hear from Anthony and hear about the upcoming updates to Insightly. This webinar will be recorded and sent out to everybody, and we will respond to all questions that we've received either on chat or in the Q&A room. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much for your time today. And yeah, we hope to do this on at least a quarterly basis. So if you enjoyed today's information or you found it helpful, we'd certainly like some feedback on that. And we'll hope to do these on more appropriate cadence in future. Thank you very much, and thanks for your time.